Anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, inside. We'll just keep talking.
Yeah, you won't be on anything. All right, so we're recording. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. We are live from the Let's Play Hockey Expo.
Show. I'm a little bit distracted at the moment. I don't know about you, but you're handling it like a pro.
Well, a little long in the tooth, you're able to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's overtimes them beating Hermantown earlier yesterday, and then again beating them in 2020 in overtime, doing it again here, and then overtime affair with Warroad. No surprise with those guys.
No, not at all. I mean, they don't quit all year. I think they were probably overlooked a bit. People thought we were for sure heading towards a Hermantown Warroad rematch, and Matamidi had something to say about that.
For the followers of the MNHockey.tv, of course, the Matamidi Zephyrs is a big client here. We did all of their home games, many of their roads. They use all of our coaching tools. They've been a great partner, and watching their kids evolve and grow, play the game spatially about as well as you can, has been absolutely really fun to watch. Two other clients of ours, by the way, are going to be playing in the state final, not surprisingly. The Minnetonka Skippers and the Edina Hornets. I know you two are virtually thrilled about this, of course, because you go out to the West Metro, the Lake Conference, which we all love and adore so much. But no, once again, those two teams felt as though they were the surging teams from, let's say, Christmas time on. Would you agree with that statement?
I would, yeah. I mean, you look at Minnetonka, they think they've won 18, 19 in a row. No surprise there. Edina had that one stinker against Wayzata. Other than that, they've been absolutely on a tear.
That's a mail-in game. They FedEx that one.
FedEx.
Just get out of there, get to
Yep.
the post. Did that surprise you too, though, that those two teams kind of like, when our rankings committees were going through those, they were always in the mix, always.
Yeah, I mean, those teams, they play just such a, we talk about it, such a disciplined style, right? They match up so well. It's almost always a one-goal game going late into the game. Maybe you throw an empty netter in there, here or there, but they just play so structured, so disciplined, get great goaltending. So no, it's really not a surprise. I think these are the two most complete teams.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Class A first before we get into the specifics. We've got some video from that game. We'll get there too. Coming up for the Edina and Minnetonka. We'll look at what those teams can do. But as far as the Class A tournament is concerned, everybody felt as though this was a coronation. When I say everybody, it's everybody. Whether it's social media, whether it's pundits, whatever it is that, well, it's a Hermantown Warroad rematch from the game you guys did on the Hockey Night Minnesota Care 11 game of the week, but that did not come to fruition.
No, I mean, I think you're seeing the top of Class A, and we've talked about this a little bit, but really raising their game. I mean, programs like Orono and Matamidi just getting stronger and stronger by the year, and obviously the semifinal, I think that semifinal ticket for Class A is becoming one of the better tickets of the tournament.
Absolutely. Hermantown is not in the state final, so they don't need to move up, right? I mean, does that squelch that narrative?
Well, I mean, that's a discussion for another time.
Well,
I think we could go on and on and on, but we're used to seeing them in the final. I mean, they've been 12 times. It's pretty impressive either way you look at it.
I just think it goes to show that you have to play the games, that these players can play and these coaches can coach. If you qualify for the state tournament, a lot of people have been talking about the state tournament, not needing to be regional as much as it is, and that we want the very best teams and this and that. Well, the way I'm seeing it right now, you do have the best teams, but if you get rid of that regional component, you ruin the entire state tournament environment, and then you'd have to do that for every sport as well.
That's a good point. I mean, I think
it ain't happening.
No, I don't think anything's going to change in the near future.
Well, why should it? It's been years and years of an incredible experience. The building sells out, massive crowd here for the Class A, and it's been good. How about the Orono Spartans? They had themselves one heck of a run, and every reason to believe they could have been playing Matamidi here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they were, one goal away, so.
Yeah, I mean, coming back from 3 goals down against Warroad, forcing double overtime, it was, Orono, they played such a great game. We saw their section final. That's a heavy, heavy team, tough to play against. Honestly, yeah, hats off to Sean Fish in his first year with that program. They did an outstanding job all year.
And to think that they almost lost in the section quarterfinals, it's pretty amazing.
Well, they had to have overtime to get past the number 8 seed Hutchinson Tigers, and that section had anybody, I would say 1 through 9 even, that could have won it. Then they had that scare against Minneapolis at the St. Louis Park Rec Center. What a game that was. There were 13 goals combined.
I know.
And that game was just never going to end. They just kept scoring and scoring. It was so good. But they fought through it. They got their game together. And then they came here to St. Paul and really, I think, played a great defensive game where it didn't feel like that against Minneapolis. They were kind of taken aback by that. But the Matamidi Zephyrs yesterday, I think, were just really who they are. And they have a blend of skill, of grit, of patience. Their coach is one of the most soft-spoken, patient human beings you'll ever run into. And ladies and gentlemen, they win the state title. Unbelievable.
I was just going to say,
that?
right on cue, but I was just going to say, I think Jeff Poschel might be
Heartbreakers.
the most underrated coach in the state, truly.
Well, there you go. Well, right now,
And he's got a second title to prove it.
I would say underappreciated.
Underappreciated.
He's
I agree.
25 wins from the 500 club. He's now won his second state title. He beat Hermantown this year. He beat War Road this year, who were 1 and 2.
I mean, that's running the gauntlet right there.
They played an incredibly grisly schedule against AA teams. They're a small town on the east side. You know, they're right next to Stillwater. They don't even have a rink that they really call their own because they play out of the St. Croix Valley Rec Center. And you know what? They've just been absolutely, doesn't matter. You know, Ben Dardis leaves and everybody says, "You're not going to, what are you going to do? You know, your goalie's gone." They bring this guy in and he gets the job done.
Yeah, and I was just talking to Matt about this, but their goaltender, Charlie Brandt, he didn't play hockey last year. He focused on football. Ben Dardis was the
Can you believe
undisputed
that?
number 1. He comes back, leads them to a state title. I mean, how incredible is that?
It's amazing, really.
So for War Road, looking for their first title since 2005, they get stopped here. They had the 5-3 lead. There was the goal that was disallowed where I feel the goaltender initiated the contact because you could see the Matamidi player pulling back with that. And but nonetheless, they make good there and they pick up the big game-winning goal. I mean, here at overtime, that's pretty darn impressive. So.
Yeah, and Brian Zolman just announced it to the convention floor here as well.
He's been all over the
He has.
DJ Daddy Z or whatever he is.
Yeah. Brian was on. He was on Carol Oven, Big Carol Oven this morning.
Oh, really? He
Yes.
didn't get the plus. He got the big.
He got the big Carol
Who
Oven
was
interview.
interviewing him?
Someone
Did
on
he
the.
fold like a tent, or did he?
No, he did great.
Okay.
He did great.
Under the pressure, the bright lights. Okay, so that's there it is, your state champions. We're going to get into that more tomorrow, obviously, on our final show from the bubble.
How about that live reaction?
That was great.
Live
it was
on air.
perfect. I wanted to call it with the play-by-play background, but I let her go. That was okay. So let's now move on. We're gonna talk for about 5 minutes about the Edina and Minnetonka game. We'll come back after the break, and we're going to take a look at some things for these two teams of what to expect. There aren't two teams that I've broken down more than these two teams, obviously in so many different ways, having done so many of their games, especially Minnetonka's. But if Minnetonka wins the title, they would have to beat number 2 Chanhassen and number 3 Edina. I mean, talk about earning it. They're going to have to do it the hard way.
And the champs as well, the defending champs Andover in the semis as well.
Don't forget about them.
Throw them right in there. Yeah, I mean, this Minnetonka team, it's about as deep as a team as we've seen in, I think, a long time. Just their ability to roll 3 lines. Matt, we talked about this. Coach Goldsworthy didn't seem to love the notion that he has 2 first lines and a second line. I think he looks at them as just how deep.
I think he has 3 first lines.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
Lunsky on the third line is just.
Well, I was going to say 12
It's crazy.
is such an issue.
Yeah.
He's so big. He's going to St. Thomas. How many guys can say they're going to play Division I college hockey on a high school team in Minnesota and they're on a so-called third line?
Right.
Like, really?
Not many.
Not many.
Mm-hmm.
This kid can, and he doesn't seem to care.
No.
And
Right.
the thing about him that I think is really important to recognize, he had mono mid-season, and that derailed him. And you don't just come back from that because he was really beat until maybe section time. So he's just getting his game back.
He's been popping since then.
Yeah.
He's been a standout, and it's been a theme that's been noted by several coaches down the stretch here of, ones canceling each other out, 2s, but when you have a third line that can be that effective, Krebsbach has scored in this tournament. Sand is such a hard-working player, and that line could be the key tonight.
Well, when we take a look a little bit deeper into the video of these teams, what I'm most looking forward to is the matchup of 18 and 15.
Yeah.
Jackson Nevers and Gavin Gary. Two center icemen who are big frame. Nevers has probably got a couple inches in height on him right now, but their strength level is about the same. Their ability to win face-offs, they both go to the net. When they play each other, it's a chess match like no other in high school hockey.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun to see.
Well, I think last night too we saw, and Jackson Evers talked about it in the post game, just the physical element. They love wearing teams down. Getting them to play the body is so important, and that's going to be a key component of his game tonight.
It is. We talk about the depth and we get into the goaltending. I mean, you've got a Frank Brimsek Award finalist in Edina with Clarkowski, and one of the things that I heard from their presser after the win last night was something about him turning his game around or whatever. And in our Rube chat that we have with our announcers, what did I say yesterday? I said, those weren't all his goals. It's really easy to point at the goaltender and say, you know what, this guy, was terrific tonight. This guy was okay tonight. This guy wasn't great, because you're looking at the score. But you're not really looking at why. And it was more about, is that Jill? Good to see you. Jill Brunner is in the house. I can't believe it. Former K-Fan Emp. That's awesome. But it comes down to, he didn't really fix his game. The team fixed their game. That's what Kurt Giles was saying.
Yep, that's exactly what he was saying. And, they talked about just having as much confidence as they do in Robbie, and yeah, very much just talking about the team aspect of it all. And Kurt noted the ownership that the forwards and the D take in that, and they take great pride in playing that structured game.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to look at some video of these two teams, and then we're going to break it down a little bit further for you, and also take a look into the brackets for the Class 2A. Unbelievable Matamidi winners in overtime. Another state title, their second since 2020, with a 6-5 overtime thriller over the War Road Warriors. Will have to wait another year in order to capture their first title since 2005. Back in a moment.
Behind every world-class athlete, there's a team who takes extra care to support them. At Affinity Plus, we take extra care with all your banking goals, from checking accounts to credit cards. Our biggest victory? Helping you win in the ways that matter most. Affinity Plus.
Your college experience begins with your dream. Your time at St. Cloud State will uniquely be your own, but your journey will be guided by our community. Be you. Be bold. Be a Husky.
What if there was a place where everything was hockey?
Finding the skate. Here comes Steves in on goal, all alone.
In Minnesota, there is.
Scores! And we welcome you back to Inside the Bubble right here on KARE 11 Plus, the home of Hockey Night in Minnesota, the game of the week, and also, of course, Inside the Bubble. You two have been hosting this thing with a ferocious manner. You know, to me, it's been the most enjoyable part of the season. It's putting this show together every Sunday in the studios. Of course, we got to mention the guys right here. Can you see this, Glenn? From Four Keeps. It's a mouth guard. It's Play, P-L-A-Y, the number 4, KPS.com. It's a mouth guard that allows you to breathe, allows you to communicate, and protect your chiclets as well as concussion. Why not?
Double whammy.
Check it out. Good stuff. Great guys to work with. Great studio. But it's been an absolute joy working with these guys and showing up every Sunday and putting together a cool show and seeing it on Sunday night. There's nothing like it.
It's been a lot of fun.
We have all the video we want.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
for
Right?
sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that fair?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a great way to wrap up the weekend hockey, right? And we kind of get to look at the highlights, talk about what happened and our thoughts. And so we've been staying abreast on everything all year as it's gone on. So, and this Mahtomedi team, they never left our top 5. I know that. They were always around.
They had a lot of losses.
Yep.
But who were they to?
A lot of double-A teams.
They beat some AA teams
Yep,
too.
they did.
So you can't judge the book by its cover. Class A to Class A, they earned it.
They
They
did.
did.
Good for them. All right, let's get on to the AA. We put together a little bit of a video package, and in this package, I basically was taking a look at Minnetonka and Edina and how they score and how they create space. And they have different ways of doing it. There's one simple thing that's true. One, they shoot the puck. But number 2, Tonka is a little more interested in the soft spots, the kind of the third guy away from the puck, but then you'll see Lucas Cole do the same thing for Edina as F3 coming in high, quiet, stick on the ice, gets a feed, buries. Also, noise to the net, sticks to the net. So let's take a look at that right now. Glenn, if you could roll clip 1, please. The Minnetonka Skippers enter the state tournament at 26-2, and they are impressive in the way they create chances. Look at this, Sam Sheets has a ton of speed. He creates so much padding with his speed and gets shots off, and that's a problem the Hornets will have to watch. Good stick there by Luke Gary, but look at the angle and just the calmness he goes to that backdoor feeds. You'll see these everywhere from the Skippers. Once again, just kind of like find a seam, stick down, boom, scores. And then another way they score is they come straight to the net. Gavin Gary, big fella, stick down, blast that one home. That's exactly how the Skippers score, and they score well. Edina 26-1 entering the tournament. Obviously had a couple of wins there. Jackson Evers is the straw that stirs the drink. He is so hard to stop. I haven't seen anybody really stop him. Great individual move there against the Red Knights. And then watch this, he's gonna go Brisov out for a skate, and he opens up with that right-hand shot, and he can sting it for sure. Edina also scores with traffic in front, redirects, and deflections. There's a great example of how they do that there against the Red Knights. And then they have secondary scoring. Look at F3, Lucas Cole right there, gets it, buries it. And these two teams tend to score quite similar. Off the rush, going to the net, Vandervoort finishes. This is gonna be a good one. Yeah, that's really a good example of the multitudes of ways these teams can score. I look at Minnetonka, I think 19, Hagen Burroughs, is their best, most fearsome offensive player when you look at him. And when you saw him score that goal down low, he's got really quick hands for a big player. But he skates so well and is so strong on the puck. But there's many other people that are there too, but it starts with him.
Well, I think his ability to find players in open ice is such a huge aspect of his game. I mean, you look at last night and that pass he had over to Gavin Gary on a primary assist, it was like, wow, that was like an NHL level type of play from him. I mean, that is the type of player he is. The ceiling is very high for him as a player.
What they do so well, though, is lurk. You know, that Luke Gary goal, he made a great stick to force a turnover against Edina back at Braemar for their lone tally. And then he didn't get squirrely. He just turned his hips, opened up, and had his stick on the ice perfectly for an easy redirect back into the back. They do that so well. And this is a team that used to score, in my opinion, off the corners, off the cycle, better than anybody. They can still do that, but they're so good off the rush that they're in trouble. So it starts from all groups but that's some really good looks at what they do.
Yeah, and it is a multifaceted approach. I mean, we saw in the Chan game how they scored both of their goals. It was working off the end wall. You find kind of the forward on the backside who gets a little bit lost. So I think that's kind of the theme of Minnetonka. They can hurt you in so many ways, and they're just going to keep coming at you. And it starts with their D2. They get it out of their zone so quickly and efficiently.
Well, that's one thing that goes overlooked, and they play 6.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to do so. And sometimes they play 7. And those kids all have a clue. And I've pointed out Steve Johnson a couple of times, the former Gopher and Minnetonka defenseman. He took over for Jack Hillen, who played in the NHL, and is one of the better teachers. I would say the 2 best defensive coaches I've seen in high school hockey have been Bam Bam Dave Langevin at Edina, and then Jack Hillen from Minnetonka, who's now coaching youth in the Hopkins program, obviously following his kids up. But with that said, Steve Johnson played for Jack, came in, took over, did an incredible job in getting this thing together and working with those players. They move the puck. I think what's going to be interesting for Edina is they are not afraid to throw the leather. And last night their angles were absolutely terrific and on point against Cretin-Durham Hall, where it was a problem. So can those defensemen withstand it? We know Stout is a big, strong kid. We know Hopka clearly appreciates the physical contact.
Yep.
We know Pasqua, he's kind of like, an energizer bunny. When you watch him skate, he doesn't look like he's flying around, but he's fast, he's smooth, but you can't really bring him down. And then, of course, Robbie House is a football player. I think he's a linebacker.
Yep.
No, good luck there. So I think it's going to, when you hit somebody and you receive the hit, you feel it both ways. So I think it could take its toll on Edina as much, but they need to do that if they want to win, in my opinion.
No, I agree 100%. And like you mentioned, Hupka is another physical player. It'll be interesting to see if we get Nevers and Hupka maybe throwing the body on each other a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Those are.
I thought you were going to say getting the tinfoil out like the Hanson brothers.
No, but it'll be fun to watch those two on the ice together.
I have never really seen Jackson Nevers officially shut down. Maybe he didn't get a point in a game or something, or an assist or a goal or something, but I've never seen him shut down to where he can't get any chances. Mm-hmm. I haven't. Will that happen tonight? I don't think so. I mean, we saw 2. I put 2 in for him because he's that important to Edina. But I think the couple guys you can't forget about are Cowan and Flaherty, especially Cowan, as he was inserted on that line. I think Mason West was a freshman, started there. He's found a home in a different group right now, which is good for them and him. And that has really allowed Cowan to be the player that he is.
Yeah, and it's not that Edina's not getting depth scoring from the likes of Cole and West. I think they both scored in this tournament, but that line has just done so much. They've done so much damage off the rush here in St. Paul, and Minnetonka has to be wary of that. They've done a good job shutting them down in the first 2 meetings, but that line wasn't together for either of those meetings. So it's a different look for Coach Giles to throw out the skippers tonight.
About 10 years ago, it was vogue for teams to just play 2 lines. We got the TV timeouts and work that angle, right? That was what everybody was doing. Now we're seeing a lot of the depth of the 3 lines. We know that Tonka's done that. We know Edina's done that. And there have been a number of coaches, even at the girls' level. Sean Moline from Centennial Spring Lake Park said, you can win the game with 2 lines, but you can't win the tournament with 2 lines. You've got to run 3, and you've got to run your D, because it's back to back to back. Heavy, hard hockey that's disciplined and focused. And I think that's the key. Bottom line, this thing's going to come down to goaltending. I just really like what Klarkowski does. I think the kid, I brought it up earlier, he's completely underappreciated, kind of like Poschel, in the regard that I know NHL teams are intrigued and looking and talking, but we're not hearing a lot of collegiate teams. 6'7", mobile. Kurt Giles said that he and Jackson Nevers are the 2 best leaders he's ever had in like 23 years. You say that about anybody on your team, and you're Kurt Giles, who was a captain in the National Hockey League. If I'm a guy and I'm a coach and I'm a junior team, I'm a college team, hello, I am going right after that guy. I don't understand. Hire me. I mean, it's not hard to tell you that guy is good.
Well, just make up your resume. I'll get it to the right teams.
Jeez. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of eyes already on the tournament, and tonight's a big opportunity for him as well. And obviously, wants to focus on a state title first, but they've got a phenomenal goaltender to help do it.
We're not going to gather in your picks or your selections.
Not quite yet.
Not till later.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring up Paul Cohen from the Ultimate Fan Experience. He'll be next right here on Inside the Bubble.
They say good things come to those who wait. But greatness, that's a different beast. It doesn't come when it's called. It won't wander up to those who do nothing. You have to bait it with the sweat you leave on the ice. You gotta push through the pain, smile through every ache, and suffer every shift. You gotta chase it. All in the name of the game you love. Because greatness comes to those who take it.
Behind every world-class athlete, there's a team who takes extra care to support them. At Affinity Plus, we take extra care with all your banking goals, from checking accounts to credit cards. Our biggest victory? Helping you win in the ways that matter most. Affinity Plus.
And we're back. That's what happens when you mute your microphone and you want to talk so nobody else can hear. Welcome back to Inside the Bubble, right here on Care 11 Plus. Paul Cohen, good to see you.
Ramsey, good to see you, buddy.
Thank you. We met in Tampa, Florida. We at the MN Hockey TV, Youth Sports Plus, that's what we call ourselves in that.
Yep.
We're covering the Elite Prospect Cup Series. They had their version of Let's Play Hockey Expo there. And this product we have right here is yours.
Thanks, buddy.
It's amazing.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Here, dial in a little tighter on that.
I'm a little tighter right now?
Yeah, you're
there
good.
There we go. Yeah, no.
That's your best one.
That's my best one right there, the MN Hockey TV. I mean, down there, I don't know, we can talk about that logo down there in a little
we would have
bit.
had the Hornets up there.
Yeah, well, there you
but
go.
There's some, we want to make sure we didn't get in trouble
well, you
with
know
all
what?
of their logo
I don't
issues.
want to get too far in the weeds here or anything on that, but I've actually heard that you're a good cake eater. Explain that to me. What's a cake?
Well, cake is supposed to be expensive, right?
Ah.
And only those that have the do-si-do
Gotcha.
eat the cake.
Gotcha.
And so I went to Edina High School. We did public access, and we decided to give ourselves call letters.
Right.
And everything west of the Mississippi starts with a K. So we were conveniently K-A-K-E. K-A-K-E TV.
Okay, there you go. So
and ownership is
I
real.
apologize for not
but they're
having
not
one
really.
for
Yeah,
that.
they're not really cake.
Gotcha.
Even though they probably have more money in their area
right.
than the cake eaters do.
Gotcha. All right.
Make sense?
I promise you tonight,
I know they do.
If they win, all right, you get a logo for them to be able to put up on the wall. So yeah, these are the backlit wall arts that I have. Then what you can do is you can take it down to the team, get them all autographed, and it'll be something, especially for a state champion.
Be really amazing.
Done.
So how did you
Done.
get here to this project?
You know what? It was actually by fluke, to be honest with you. I mean, the Ultimate Hockey Fan is the ceiling fan that I came up with, and then from there, it actually just evolved into a friend of mine asking me if I could do a piece of artwork for his grandson playing baseball of all sports.
Yeah.
And then did a little artwork for him. Next thing you know, he was like, well, this would look really cool with some backlights on it. So I'm like, well, it was just Coroplast. It wasn't even a good sub screen or anything like that. And then the next thing we did with the flatbed printer that I have, state of the art, ended up getting some good opportunities. And yeah, it's metal. So like even for when you take a look at the Minnesota Wild one right there,
down in the lower corner here,
it actually looks like a real jersey, but it's made out of ACM metal. So with that, it was just something that with the licensing with the NHL, how could I grow that not only through the NHL, but most importantly, high school customized pieces. And here we are. Look,
so
we have
this
all the customized
has
piece.
a special backlight to it, though, correct?
Correct.
This one, or the War Road one, may not.
Well, the difference between those two is just the color that you can have. So you can have the S-shaped lights, or you can have the cob lights. It all depends on the actual logo and the outline of the logo, which works best for each individual piece. So I've made pieces for the University of Florida. We've done a senior day with them for 8 pieces where I customize each one of the templates for them. It's limitless what I can do.
How long does it take to turn one of these?
Give or take with the art, depending on the artwork and the clarity. You know, the better piece of artwork that I have, the easier that it's done, within about 4 or 5 hours.
So if you have a high res
right
type of EPS or whatever, you can go to work on it.
Exactly.
And then, what are the typical like this looks incredible for a restaurant bar scenario to me.
Awesome.
For a man cave.
Right.
For a
she shed.
cave.
Don't forget about she shed.
I was going there for that.
Kids' bedroom.
Or even for an office.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, we want to bring memories. We want to really preserve memory. You take a look on the phone, all right, go back 15, 20 years ago, you had the albums, all right? You had the still photos and everything. I don't want to really age myself that much.
No, I'm right with you.
And then all of a sudden with the iPhone, you have them on your iPhone. But that's all they are. So if you want to preserve a memory, we could do that. We can take, 3 guys, put us standing up right here, put the logo of the Let's Play Hockey show, and that's exactly what I can do. We can take this back, and in 5 years, put it over your desk, and you go, I remember that day.
Well, I love the idea of getting it autographed, too.
Well, that's exactly.
And this could be for youth state championships. This could be for high school, college, pro. Now, you're licensee, correct?
Correct.
With the National Hockey League or anybody else?
No, not yet.
So hockey only.
Hockey only.
Are you thinking about other sports or just?
Yeah, definitely. We've got actually a ceiling fan that's pending for baseball. That's really cool. And then from there, we're going to go on to we have another one for football as well.
Can you explain the ceiling fans? I saw those in Tampa. They're pretty cool.
Awesome, thanks. That is our staple. That was the #1 product that we came up with originally, and it was by fluke. So. All we were doing was, my daughter was playing hockey at the time. She had a playroom. She was getting a little bit older and said, Dad, let's turn this into a game room. So that's exactly what we did. So in Florida, we had a vaulted ceiling. And unlike Minnesota and other northern states, we really didn't have, even up in Ontario, we never had ceiling fans growing up. Didn't even know what a ceiling fan was. But in Florida, everybody has them. So we had the vaulted ceiling, looking up to fit into the theme of the room, and there was nothing on the internet. Again, this is about 15, 20 years ago, so didn't have anything. Went to Lowe's, picked up a ceiling fan, traipsing through the garage, had 4 old goalie sticks from my playing days, and I was like, those aren't doing anything. Cut the shafts off, MacGyvered 3 holes in them, put it up, and then had a goalie mask, stuck the mask on the light fixture, and next thing you know, we had a ceiling fan.
Do you have it still?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so was there some concern about the stick being too heavy to work? Did you see that at all?
Well, it was made not to function, to be honest with you. It was made for looks only, but it actually did function. So what ended up happening, to your point, was the bracket started to sag a little bit after a few years. But what ended up happening is that people are coming over to the house, we'd have the parties, they would see the fans, and they were like, hey, you gotta make me one of these. A good buddy of mine is a patent attorney, was like, you have something here. So not only did I get the goalie blades, so it basically comes in 3 different forms. It comes 4 goalie blades, 4 player blades, or 2 goalie and 2 player blades. And then I came up with a goalie mask light fixture, and now the puck light fixture, which actually you could use for a ceiling fan, you could use as a wall sconce, you could use as a pendant light, or something in a kid's bedroom.
So if I want to shop your things, where do I go?
UltimateHockeyFans.com.
Say that again.
Not only do we cool your room, we make your room look cool.
Nice.
UltimateHockeyFans.com.
We'll be back. No, I'm just kidding. So let's quickly talk about your hockey experience. So you and I connected as goaltenders, coaching, playing, just the position, the evolution of it. Why don't you just, so this comes from a passion for the game too. So when you started this to transform that room, there was definite hockey in your blood.
Yeah, I played a little hockey, to say the least. I played my junior hockey in Ontario. Was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to St. Lawrence University. Won back-to-back ECACs. Unfortunately, I know what the Wards goalie is feeling with. We lost in the Lake State, in Lake Placid in overtime, and had a good minor career in playing in the American League. First year won a Calder Cup there. Then had the opportunity to go over, was the first goalie import in Austria, and I was actually the first goalie in the American League to score a goal.
Come on.
Yep.
When, where?
Snipe where? At home against Rochester.
Did you step up on the play? Was it a power play?
Well, you know what? I pitched it out of the air like an outfielder. It was just one of those plays that, let's put it this way. Mario Gosselin back in the day, Goose.
Oh, yeah.
We, in practice all the time, would be firing the puck up and down the ice and, just having fun. But this was something that, from day one, I always wanted to score a goal. I always wanted to play the puck. I actually played the puck well better, and I stopped it sometimes. And it was one of those scenarios where a shot came in from the point. I saw it all the way. Nobody else saw it. And one of the Rochester American guys actually hit my arm as the puck was going into my glove. It just hit it perfectly, fell flat, and in one motion just shot it right down the middle of the ice.
Bang, done.
Bang, done.
Did you get some sauce on it, or was it straight?
You know what? I was so exhausted at the game. I just wanted it out of the zone. I didn't even know it was going to go in the net. It was just all the repetition from practice of just shooting it down all the time.
What year?
When was that? Now you're really going to age me. That was 91, 92.
Well, that's not old.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks.
You're good.
Thanks.
Final question in that regard.
Yeah.
We've talked about the position and how it's coached, and there's a lot of different opinions on getting from point A to point B. What is your philosophy there?
I look at it, I coach goalie schools, for 32 years.
Yeah.
And the number one, when you take a look at it, is fundamentals. If you don't have mobility on the ice, now, hey, I don't care if you're 5'5" or you're, like we were talking about, the big fella, 6'7". You still have to be able to get around the net. There's only so much that you can play on your knees, and if you don't understand the fundamentals of watching the puck into your body, like that last goal, okay, we just witnessed it. All that goalie had to do, all right, and again, this is double overtime, emotions are high and everything. Exactly, 50 some odd shots on that. Really, the safe place was for him to put it in the corner. Just deflect it out of the way, get it in the corner, not try to make the save. It was going high over his head anyways. And then by making that unfortunate save, drop down, the guy ended up putting it in the net. So fundamentals to me is number one, okay? Nowadays, you have the ability to go on your phone and to be able to stream any game, be able to go back, see where you... Back in the day, we never had that. Right. So even for the goalies, at my camps, every single day we learned a different movement, a different save, and a different game situation so that they could put it all together. And I think that's what's missing in today's for goalie coaches now. They're just being taught, drop, let the puck try to hit you, and it's good when you're 6'7".
Well, when you can play on your knees and you're bigger than a guy that's 5'6", 5'7", that's fine.
Exactly.
But I do think what gets lost in the equation is how are you square. What are your angles like? Where are your rebounds? Where are you directing things? The lost art of just a simple angle up and out of play or into the corner is a thing of absolute, you don't see it as much anymore because they're all holding their sticks at an angle like this. We're getting inside baseball here, but they're making the save twice.
Right.
Why?
I have no idea.
I've never understood that.
I have no idea. number one, I know the reason why they're doing it is because they're being taught that, because their blocker elbow is so tight in, so they have no outside mobility
Correct.
to
If
be
your
able
hands
to.
are out
if your
front.
hands are out front,
Correct.
then you could watch the puck in exactly
But
like
you're
that
not
goal.
sitting here like a robot either,
No,
because you're
no.
athletic.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating position. You and I are going to get into our overtime podcast and talk goaltending a little bit deeper.
Okay.
It's a serious passion of mine. I've just stopped coaching it, so if I can just talk about it now. Last year was my last year. I've had enough. I'm a fossil too, and I'm done. So, but it has changed in some instances for the better. Absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt.
But keeping
how about
the
the equipment?
athleticism in. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what would you have done with that? You know what I said?
Oh
You want
my
to put
God.
scoring back into the National Hockey League? Give them the gear that we had, and there'd be 20 goals a game. Like,
I just
it
went
hurt.
over to. I just went
Like,
over
you
to.
felt every bit.
I swear to God, I just
It was
went
a
over to a
joke.
vendor over there,
Oh,
and
they're
I
in Kevlar.
He's using my old Heat and goalie pads, making wallets out of them now. I mean,
Right. Well, why would you not be able to come out, attack, and square when you won't feel it? Well, you might get it a little spot here or there, but
the evolution of the equipment now. I mean, again, there was a little cheating back in the day. No,
Right.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Putting wood dowels in the middle of your pads.
I didn't know about that.
I know, exactly. Using shingles on your shoulder and underneath your
Oh,
pads.
like
Or
that.
yeah, exactly. To flip it up a little bit to try to, little rubber dash or
John
whatever it
Sebastian
is. Exactly.
Jaguar, the
You
human
know,
statue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Couldn't
I mean,
even move.
No. I mean, when you take a look at it, that was all the Lefebvre, okay? That was all the French-style goaltending.
Right.
Keep it all nice
Yep.
and tight. Let the puck hit you, deflect it up into your body. But then again, you take a look at a guy like Martin Brodeur, all right?
Strelo,
Exactly.
my guy, taught me.
Hands out front, always had the puck on the angle.
That's
If the puck
Strelo.
came in, it was always deflected to the corner, out of danger.
Evgeny Nabokov, same thing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Strelo, his coach,
Yeah.
was U.S. Olympic coach. I was blessed enough as a kid. He just coached around here. He coached at Matamidi High School in the 60s.
There you go.
His son, Tom, is an assistant coach that was on that bench that just won today. So it's kind of cool to see the generations continuing to roll with this.
Yeah.
So, well, Paul, let's fire out that that website one more time for these incredible signs. These are for sale, too. Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Wags. I really appreciate it. Again, ultimatehockeyfans.com.
We'll be on the podcast shortly.
Thanks, brother.
When we come back, Matt, Brandon, and I will wrap up the season and more. Oh, we might bring Jerry Burrow up here too, right after this.
Behind every world-class athlete, there's a team who takes extra care to support them. At Affinity Plus, we take extra care with all your banking goals, from checking accounts to credit cards. Our biggest victory? Helping you win in the ways that matter most. Affinity Plus.
Your college experience begins with your dream. Your time at St. Cloud State will uniquely be your own, but your journey will be guided by our community. Be you. Be bold. Be a Husky.
What if there was a place where everything was hockey?
Oh, he can skate. Here comes Steve's in on goal, all alone.
In Minnesota, there is.
Scores! Look at this. We're back at the inside the bubble. And you can get this right here. Where'd you get it?
Just down the way here, right, not too far from our booth.
Is that a hockey jersey?
Yeah, you're real funny, Jerry.
It's almost baseball season, right?
You know, I'm really okay with this.
See? I figured once you saw it in person,
I don't
you'd be
like the hats.
And that's fair. I can understand
the Marlins
that.
thing is hard for me to take. And we've gone through this ad nauseum.
We've had this discussion about 100 times.
Well,
already,
we're having
so.
it 101 times. but I'm just coming around to say this
Good.
isn't bad.
It's a good product.
The hats will never be sold. I just can't.
It's
do
grown
it.
on me a little.
Look who's up here.
Jerry Burrow.
A legend. Look what he got.
He had to fight tooth and nail. But
Wow. Did you beg?
What? It wasn't worth it.
Did Tim Layton bail you out? What did he do? Did he take care of you?
It's a long story.
Unbelievable. Your thoughts
Story
on the
for
state?
another time.
Yeah. Well, I'm eating it up. Your thoughts on the tournament? Get in there.
Great tournament so far. I mean, especially the Class A. Everyone had these 4 teams in the semifinals in Class A. They were seeded that way. They were ranked that way all year, and they proved that they all belong. And I told everyone, once they get to that semifinal game, there's no really big favorite, and it proved it. I might have had a little small favorite with Hermantown and Warroad, but Montemita and Orono proved me wrong on that.
Right,
but,
they stepped it right up.
But it was a great Class A tournament.
Jerry Burrow and I go back, what, about 20, man?
At least.
At least years covering hockey. He's has his show called Minnesota Hockey Connection up in Duluth. And I think the most fun we have is at the Wild game, so, right?
Those were the days, my friend.
Right. But they make you cover like 30 games or some ridiculous number?
Yeah.
So I couldn't adhere to that because of this conglomerate and all of these games.
It was great when Billy Robinson
we just
ran
did whatever
the
we
press
wanted.
box.
We ran the press box with Billy, didn't we?
And Billy loved us.
Yeah, it was great back in the day. But anyway, so the Class A final, I think the thing that stands out is Montemita, I contend, even though we have them always up in the top 4 and they rotate, from 3 to 4 typically with Hermantown and Warwood, right? But they still you feel like they just don't get the respect they're due. It's kind of a but thing. And all they've done now is beat Hermantown in 2020 and they beat Hermantown and Warroad in 2023.
They're kind of the Edina of the double A,
a little
bit. They'd rather have like Warroad, small school, rink rats. They want to see a team from the outside, and it's pretty soon. We're not going to have too many teams that can make it down here that can compete, I think. And
Well,
that worries me. That worries me, concerns me.
You had a lot of teams that could compete this year. And Moorhead is going to be special for the next 4.
If they
East Grand Forks,
if they stay there.
Well, that's your job. You have to promote the game in a way in which there's nowhere to go. That's the whole purpose of all this stuff.
Pete, I'm getting old.
Are you fatiguing? You're tired of chasing Randolph around the Twin Cities, is what it is. Right.
I stopped that.
Oh, did you? You gave up on him?
No.
No.
You don't give
Never.
up on Mike.
No, you know what?
I think next year he might be the highest record, most win coach in,
He'll get it.
In Minnesota, going against tough teams, tough schedules, and you got to give him credit.
We're going to bring him on our next Overtime podcast, and we're going to talk about his season and his transition from being an assistant coach in a land of many to a head coach in a land of few, and how that worked for him and what he thought of his club. I thought his club got better and better as the season went on. Really liked how they played the game.
All his teams, really.
Look, it was very much, the script was the same, the jet sweaters were different. Now let's get to the AA state tournament real quick. You've got, I think, the right 2 teams in there.
Right. I mean, the parity this year was the most I've ever seen in 30-some years since I've been doing this. I've never seen where any team in the 20 can beat any team, any night.
25.
Yeah.
Like Coon Rapids would be in that, let's say, 18 to 25 range.
Right.
They could beat anybody.
Right.
You're like, if Edina had a bad day, they'd lose.
But I have Tonka as my team all year. basically. I would have had Moorhead if they kept those 4 kids. I would have had Chaska up there if they would have had their, how many kids? They lost about 8. They lost about 8 kids, really.
Yep.
I mean, 4 of them were key kids, you know. And boy, there's a couple other teams where Edina lost Jimmy Clark.
Didn't hurt them, did it?
Lukey down in Lakeville South.
Yep. Didn't hurt them.
But it could help them win the championship.
Right, but it didn't hurt them because they're here.
Yes.
And then when you get here, anything can happen. Like it's just a matter of matchups or how things go.
Just think, if Moorhead kept those 4 kids, Hermantown kept their 3 kids. Some of these teams would be unbelievable hockey if they played each other.
And I thought it was really good without them.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's the one thing that you have to think of too. A couple things going on. Every kid now is a red shirt kindergartner. I mean, like, so they don't really start as kindergartners. They start at, you know, it's a joke.
Yep.
So then by the time they become juniors, it's like, well, I should be graduating because I was given a year. And so seniors are truly, you know, 19-year-olds if they see it all the way through. So it's kind of become the trend of this latest wave. Red shirt them in kindergarten, skip your senior year, go play junior. Problem is not every kid is a junior player to the caliber maybe they would like to think they are, and it kind of becomes a problem. So what you have is you have some overage seniors, and you got a lot of underage guys that look like they're freshmen, but they're really sophomores, and sophomores who are really juniors. That's what I think is going on.
Well, there's a lot of parents out there that think their kids are a little better than they are. There's kids
we're going down that road.
There's kids that don't want to really work hard. They think they're just good at this level, and so they don't want to work hard. So there's a lot of entitlement sometimes where they expect to be here,
well,
to be
I think
on the power play.
What you're saying is if you're told you're good, you think you're good.
You mean the head gets bigger?
Yeah, well, you got to get through the door. So anyway, who do you like in the game tonight?
I'm taking Tonka for their defense. They don't give any space.
That's the one area where
I don't know about their goalie.
The goalie matchup, I would give
He hasn't had many shots this year.
So you don't know. But I do know that when he played Chanhassen, he was excellent, like on point.
But I like Edina because of their coaching experience. Not saying Goldsworthy's not a great coach, but Giles been there for so many years.
What are they, like 13-1 or 13-2 in finals?
He knows how to do this. He's like a Randolph.
No, he does. Yeah.
He knows how to do it. So they got the coaching. They got the schedule. I always say you got to have a good schedule. If you don't have a good schedule, it'll hurt you at the end. And I think that kind of hurt War Road being not deep and not having a really, really hard schedule, you know. If they were down here, it probably would have been a lot better for them. And then one line, you saw both games when they went in overtime, they were gassed in that first overtime. Right. And if that was a 17-minute overtime in those 2 games,
you're kind of lucky. You're kind of lucky you get the reprieve.
It's over.
You're lucky you get the reprieve of that 8 minutes. So, and like you were bringing that up, Brandon, where you could regroup.
And I think it's going to be a close game, low-scoring game, so that means it's going to be 6-5.
All right, Jerry. We're good. We're going to wrap it up. Okay. We have stairs right here for you you can walk down, so you don't have to break your neck on your way out. Jerry Burrow from the Minnesota Hockey Connection out of the Northland area. Yep. Good to see you, buddy, and we'll see you at a rink soon.
They say good things come to those who wait. But greatness, that's a different beat.
Glenn, can you pull those up for us? Matt, why don't you take the honors and walk us through the afternoon bracket and how they look?
Starting with the quarters.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we had our first game, Cretin-Durham Hall, 3-1 win over Maple Grove, of course. That was the lone seeded upset. And, Raiders, of course, were struggling a little bit, maybe entering sections, turned it around, and much improved from last year's state tournament result where they got blown out. And then our second one, if I could see here.
I was going to give that to Brandon.
I'm sorry.
And the second one, Brandon, there's a method behind the madness here, buddy.
I get it.
The second one was Edina defeating Moorhead 7-6 in overtime. Hornets had a 3-goal lead a couple times in the third. Moorhead storms back just an absolutely classic quarterfinal. I haven't done. I wanted to do the research. Is that sort of most combined goals in a state tournament game? Has there ever been a game where both teams score 6+? I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be a small list, though.
Go to Lauren's book and you can find out.
It's got to be a small list.
Legacy.hockey.
Go ahead.
And then we had, of course, Minnetonka with that win over Hill Murray. They had to fight for it. They really did.
Fight, scratch, kick, and claw.
And that was a fun one to watch.
4-3.
4-3. Yep.
And then finally, the last one.
Andover 5-2 over Lakeville South. Huskies finished strong and knock out the Cougars.
Tonka Andover had themselves a good game. Tonka's depth probably too much there as they pull away 4-1 in their semifinal. And then Edina, pretty much the same thing in theirs against Cretin Durham Hall. I think the Hornets really put their physical play on the line and did an absolute terrific job there. We have a few more minutes left here, boys. I would like you to share your favorite moment calling play-by-play at mnhockey.tv this year.
I think for me it was probably it was my first section final I got to call between Holy Family and Minnetonka girls. Braemar was about 95% full, and it was a great environment and a fun game to call. Great to be a part of a section final like that. It was buzzing. Yep.
How about you?
Oh, so tough. I had a great stretch there, like late January, early February, like 3 or 4 overtime games in a row. But I think I got to go with Uma Cornier hitting win number 100 against Stillwater, their second to last game of the regular season.
Really, really good stuff. Look at you. Both girls' games were highlights for your year.
Yeah.
And I think that's super huge for what we're doing and how we move forward as a group. That is absolutely fantastic stuff. For mine, it's a no-brainer. It was the Minnetonka game against the Chanhassen Storm. Section 2 AA final, overtime. Those two teams were just grinding it out. Great chances, great goaltending. The whole thing was out of control good. So good.
It's phenomenal.
So that was fine. How about doing inside the bubble?
Probably the player spotlight pieces. And a few of them stand out.
Go.
The first one, Audrey Garten of Holy Angels, was kind of cool to get to go to my alma mater there.
Right.
And she had just come off a state soccer title game. The War Road one that we did on their girls' top line that won the state tournament, obviously. Those are probably the two that stand out the most.
I'd say for me, just overall the trip to War Road and the stuff we did for inside the bubble.
Classic.
The Riverbend skate path was a lot of fun to be a part of, and big thanks to Craig Kennedy for his help there. And I had a lot of fun up there. It was a blast.
Mine was obviously the player profiles were really fun. The coaches that we would call or ask, say, hey, we want to do this for this player or that player. It was like on point.
Yep.
Really, they did not disappoint. Tristan May Robinson from Andover was a very, very good one. He was our first.
That's a good one.
And I thought that was a great way to start. I thought he did absolutely great stuff in the community. But I think overall for the show, I kind of alluded to it earlier, it's the circle of I'm going to kind of it's early. We get to it early on Sunday mornings. But it was just everybody getting together, eating those coffee cakes from Starbucks.
Or a breakfast sandwich.
Not heated.
Yeah.
Too crumbly.
Too crumbly when they're heated. Yeah, absolutely. But that and just everybody kind of being tired. And just sort of
we were up till 1:30 the night before.
Figuring out who number 4 or number 8 is in the top 10.
What about number 10 in Class A?
Oh, just brutal. There's 20 teams you could pick, and then you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. But it was just the whole group working and putting together a show that we envisioned. Yeah, when we ran it by our team at Care 11, they're like, oh, yeah, sure, if you want to. And it turned out being like, dang, we really like this thing, and it was really good. And so the efforts from our guys that are behind the cameras right now go beyond appreciated what you two have done. We know, and we love it. There's Glenn's thumb right there. Yeah, go put your face in front of it. There's Todd with a couple of peace signs. He didn't wear green for the Hornets, so I'm surprised.
Neither did Glenn.
Neither one of them.
Maybe they're going to change.
You guys are outnumbered.
You guys bring a change of clothes? Yeah, we're getting the thumbs up.
We're at 4 o'clock on the nose. We're going to break her down. Who do you like tonight?
I'm going with Tonka 1-goal game.
Tonka 2-1 overtime.
Hornets empty netter 4-2.
Oh. All right. There you go.
It's going to do it for our edition. For Matt, Brandon, beautiful work, guys. It was fun. We got one more show tomorrow night. You'll see it at 10:35 on Care 11 Plus, right after the news. Todd Geisler, Glenn Gray, our production aficionados. I'm Pete Wagner, guys. Have fun tonight.
Thank you.
So
You
long,
as well.
everybody.